Hello, boys and girls. Let me just double check the volume here. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. How are you? So today is about Cisco iOS basics. We're going to learn a little bit about the different CLI navigation options that we have in the Cisco CLI. So let's go. Cisco iOS Internet Operating System. Internet Operating System is the command line interface CLI used to configure, manage, and troubleshoot Cisco devices, routers, switches, even firewalls or ASA, depending on the scenario where you are currently working on. So let me just stop the video for a minute. Let's go over it. First thing we have, let's go ahead and highlight those with a yellow color. User executive mode, privilege executive mode, global configuration mode, interface configuration mode. So now we are going to learn why are they used for, what is their function per se. When we are talking about user exec mode is limited to monitoring commands in the router and is usually represented by this icon, which we call the fetch. Sometimes when I was little, they told me, oh, okay, this is the fetch. It goes to the left, it's go to the right. So just remember, the one that we call the fetch is the one for the user exit mode. And what is their function? It allows us limited monitoring commands. Now, let's go with the next one. Let's go with the next one. And it's actually a number sign, what we have here. This number sign is privilege exit mode. It allows all commands. And basically, if you just remember the number sign, there is even a game about this. In Spanish, it's called cat. I don't know if English. How do you guys call it? But you just have to add X and then the zeros and the X and then complete a row with the X and the zeros. That is called the cat. I don't know if it is called the same in English or not, to be honest. All right, so just remember the number sign when we're talking about this is privilege exec mode. Okay, time to do some erasing here. Next thing, global configuration mode is the next CLI option for navigation that we have currently available. And what can we do about this one? Is to start doing configurations in our device. For system-wide settings, we can start doing some system-wide settings. Like, for example, we can configure the host name in this scenario, in this CLI navigation option. Finally, we have the last one, which is interface configuration mode for ports and interfaces, where we are configuring the different ports and the different interfaces, even when you are actually adding routing protocols. Is I think this one is for routing protocols, the first one, and the second one is for ports and interfaces, basically. But just be familiar that we have 4 different CLI navigation modes. We have user exit mode, privilege exit mode, global configuration mode, interface configuration mode, and each of them has a specific function and representation. So that's pretty much. Let's do some clearing of this drawing and let's move forward. Now we are going to start working on a lab environment. This should be easy for you since we have been doing some intermediate and advanced lab. So it shouldn't be that difficult for you guys. Let's start setting up this in Cisco Packet Tracer. So let's go to Cisco Packet Tracer and double click on it. Let's be patient. Let's wait for a couple of seconds. It takes a little bit of time to load. And hopefully we can start doing the magic. We're going to add the following in this scenario. We're going to add a Cisco router, a Cisco switch, and PCA and PCB. Basically, let me just go back to it. So a router, a switch, and PCA, and then a PCB. That's basically what we're doing. It's a pretty simple scenario. So let me clear this, and let's go back to Cisco Packet Tracer. I need to actually duplicate this tab so I can have it in my other monitor, and I can follow along while we start adding those equipment and devices in the Cisco Packet Tracer. Let's just focus for a moment. Okay, there you go. Okay, so first thing I do, I go to Packet Tracer. Now, remember, usually in the instructions, I let you know what kind of routers and switches we are using. So I want to just double check if we have that information here. I don't really see it. Interesting. Let me see if I have the instructions in lesson 13 about this. Let me just decompress those files and look for it. If not, we're just going to use some devices, some random devices. So, but if we have the model, it's actually 2660 for the switches. It doesn't specify. It can be any router model. And the PCs are always the same. So let's go with it. Let's just look for a router there. In this case, let's use a 2901. Let's add a switch and the two PCs. PC0, PC1. Now we're going to label these devices. So I'm going to go back to that topology. Going to return to that topology in order to know what are the names that we need for those specific devices. Okay, give me just a second. Router 1. Okay, so this is our 1. Then we have switch 1, SW1. And then we have PC-A here. And then PC-B over here. Great. Now, what are the interfaces and the cables that we need? Okay, we need basically, for this one, it will be a crossover, if I'm not mistaken. Gigabit 00 is actually Fast Ethernet 24. Apparently. Gigabit 00 and Fast Ethernet 24. So this one goes a little bit down. Okay. Now, Fast Ethernet 1 and Fast Ethernet 2 is what we need there for those configurations. So give me just a moment here. So let me go with Fast Ethernet 1 over here. And then Fast Ethernet 2 over there. There you go. Now let's just stop sharing the video for a moment so we can concentrate on this network topology. What else do we need to configure for this device? Okay, we need to access the router. Access the router and enter privilege exit mode. So let me just duplicate this step for a moment so I can follow along with you guys. And let's complete the step 1. Let's go. Access the router. We go. We always say no most of the time. And then we added enable. Now we are entering privilege exit mode at this moment. We have the number symbol. The number symbol. How do we enter global configuration modes? Do you guys remember from the first explanation that I was telling you about? Configure terminal. Configure. So just do it. Configure terminal and click enter. Now, what else do we need to do here? We need to do the following. interface gigabit 00. And we are moving from global configuration mode to access interface configuration. And finally, once we click do WR, let's say we are just saving configurations and we will need to exit that specific location, we do exit. Great. There is another way, I think Control Z, if I'm not mistaken, to go to the initial point where we started. So if you go config T and then you go interface gigabit, Ethernet 00, and you do a end, you are at the beginning. Now, let's do it one more time. Config T, interface gigabit 00, and we do Control Z, Z as in zebra, and there you go. We are at the starting point, and now we are back in privileged exit mode. Next thing we do, write memory. There is two ways to save the information. Write memory will be the first one, or WR, and the other one is copy running, is config, startup config. So copy space running dash config space startup dash config, and then you click enter, and then enter again, and the configuration is saved. Now, let's start doing some practice. How do we set up the host name for this specific device? We have done it in previous labs, maybe a little bit faster because we were just trying to complete the lab as soon as possible and not make a lesson too tedious, too long, just cover everything from 30 minutes to an hour. But right now, we just want to learn what is the best way to configure a host name. So in order to set our host name, we added config T, and then we do the following. That is the configuration. Do you guys remember which one is this one? Do you guys know by heart? Global configuration mode. So let's go with this one. Let's do a host name R1. Host name R1. Okay, great. We have successfully configured this. Now, we want to configure line console connectivity. So line, all in lowercase, line console 0. Password, password Cisco, all in lowercase, and then login. Finally, we do enable secret. Enable secret, let me just do it. Enable secret class. This one is actually in the config, in the config mode. In this one is global configuration mode. So we actually have to do it in this one. We have to do enable secret class. Now, what happened if I was in the line con 0, password Cisco, and log in, and I want to go back to the specific mode, to the global configuration mode? We just type exit here, and then now we can do the enable secret class. How am I doing it so fast? I am doing the arrows. I am doing the up arrow in order to return to a previous command, and that's the way I was able to complete this in a fast way. Now let's go with the IP address. How do we configure an IP address here in the router? Interface, gigabit 00, IP at 192.168.1.1, 255.255.255.0, no shutdown. There you go. Do WR to save the configuration, and we're pretty much done. Now, what else do we need? What else do we need? Let's go to the devices scripts to see if we are missing some information in the router 1. Are we missing some information? We pretty much have everything here. IP domain name, local lab. Okay, we're missing a little bit of information. So let me just do the following. Let's go ahead and do enable, then config T, and copy and paste the script. The one that you're going to copy in is the startup config of router 1 that I would share in the attached documents. Just go ahead and copy it. Let's go ahead from host name until the end. Let me just copy and paste it here. Now, pretty much we are having everything set up, but there is something missing here that I think we have to do it by hand. So some commands are giving a little bit of error. Not a problem. We're going to do those manually. For example, config T. Let's start with the first one, banner mode. Banner mode, number sign, unauthorized. And let me just go here so I can just copy and paste it here. Unauthorized access prohibited. Let me just copy there, paste it, and then do a number sign again. I got an error there. It was a number sign, but I need it. Okay. Now, what else do we need? IP domain name. It is lab.local. What else? What else? We have the service password encryption. Service password encryption. Okay, these are basically commands to specify a specific domain name and encrypt the passwords. So now, if you do a show run, there are some passwords that are encrypted. Like, for example, this one. This one is encrypted with a hatch. What else? What else do we have here? Are we missing something? We have the interface. We have the banner mode command. This one, we can erase it because it's not necessary. So let me see if I can erase it. Config T. No banner mode. And it was something like that. No banner mode. Let's just double check. Is TD. TD and then the number symbol. Let me just do a short run one more time so we can validate that one is gone. I think we pretty much delete everything. The banner modes. I think we pretty much delete everything. So let me just go ahead and add it one more time. Do you guys remember how to do it? This is actually banner mode. So in configuration, you do the following. You do config T, you paste this one, you do the number sign, and you do the prohibited message. This is not authorized. So there is an even trials that happen because of people that got access to devices and they didn't have a banner mode set up, no prohibited message, and people got the good verdict from the judge because they were actually doing something illegal, but it wasn't displaying this message. And this is something that we have to be careful about. Banner mode. Let me just see if I'm doing something wrong here. There is a space and then there is a message. And then there is the number sign again. And there you go. Do show run. Do show run. Let's see if now we can see it again. There you go. It is now there. What are we missing, guys? What are we missing? Login synchronous. Password. Okay. Let me just copy this configuration to see if it is there. Yeah, it is there. I don't need it any longer. What about the SSH input? Yeah, that one is missing. Let me just copy this. There you go. This one, there is a space here that is giving us some problems. We need to remove those spaces. So let me just work on that right now. It's the line bty command that we are missing the SSH configuration. So Let me just show you guys what I will be doing. I'm just copying and pasting this. Telnet and SSH can be at the same time, only one of them. So let's do SSH. There you go. Transport input SSH is the command that we are doing. Line BTY space 0 space 4, password Cisco, then login, and then transport input SSH. Okay, let's go with crypto key RSA and paste this one over there. Let me just do it one more time because yes, I want to replace it. I want to do 1024 for the bits. This will give us a secure key and authentication when we are working alone with the SSH protocol and configuration. Now, that's pretty much everything. Let's do an end and then a write memory because we are done. So, in the document that I shared, I'm going to do some changes because there is a problem with the spaces, and that's why some of the commands were not working. So I will work on that for you guys to have the best document in order to copy and paste the commands. Okay, so we're pretty much done with the router. Now, let's see if there is a configuration for the switch, and I want to work on those spaces as well. I need to remove those spaces. So let me just show you what I'm doing, guys, so you know. I'm just removing these spaces, so when I add that configuration to the switch, I don't get error messages and all that. So it's taking just a little bit of time, but we should be all covered. Let me just save this. And I'm going to just copy everything here from hostname until end. Let me just copy this. Let me go to the switch. And we're going to paste it here. Am I doing the enable here? No. Enable first. And then unconfig T, configuration terminal. And then we just paste it. I think we are pretty much done. Look at that, no errors. Now, let's do a short run to see what we have just configured here. We have the line console password, the line BTY password, the transport input telnet. In this case, it's not SSH. Usually SSH is a little bit more secure. Telnet is not that secure, but this is still another way to configure it. Now, what else are we missing? We have the timeout, we have the transport input configuration. Basically, all the configuration in the switch is done. Let me go to that notepad document just to see. We were adding the no IP domain lookup, the enable secret password, the password service encryption. You guys remember? What is that used for? For encrypting password with a hash. Okay, and we are allowing access to some specific ports for the PCs. We are getting the switchboard mode access to interface facilitator 024. That's pretty much it. We are done with the router and the switch. Now the PCs. Let's go with the configuration of PCA. We need to add the following. Let's go to PCA, desktop, and the IP address is 192.168.1.0.1.10, mask 24, 192.168.1.1, and then 8.8.8.8, which is the Google server, and this is optional. And now let's go to PCB. Let's go ahead and look it up. This is what we will be configuring in the PCB. Give me just a moment, please. I got a small error there. Okay, it's actually 120, so let's go with it. We go to PCB, 192.168.1.20, mask 24, 192.168.1.1. Are we getting the same default gateway for both PCs? I want to double check on that. Let's see. PCA, yeah, it's pretty much the same way gateway. So if we send a package right now from PCA to the router and from PCB to the router, is successful. How do we do this in real life? Like using packages and all that is easy, but In real life, it will be in the command prompt. If you go to the command prompt, you execute the following command: ping 192.168.1.1. We are sending a ping to the default gateway. Same thing applies if we go to PCB and we do the same. We go to the command, let's do a ping to the 192.168.1.1. What I want to know if we have connectivity between those PCs. And we do. They're communicating successfully, which means I can do a ping to the 192.168 that 10.10, if I'm not mistaken, let me see. What was the IP for PCA? Do you guys remember? It's 1.10. Look at that. It fails because I added the incorrect IP address. The correct one is the following: 192.168.1.10. There you go. And then what happens if we are in PCA and we send a ping to 192.168.20.20? Do you think it's going to work or not? It's not going to work because we are adding the incorrect IP address on purpose. So it doesn't work. But now we are doing the correct IP. It's 1.20. This is the correct one. And it successfully worked. We have the ICMP protocol working successfully, and the ping connectivity is successfully and effectively applied. I think we are pretty much with the lab. We're pretty much done. I just want to do some validation commands in case we're missing something. Let's go to the router and let's learn about this one. We have probably seen it before. Show IP interface brief, show IP space int space brief, and that is basically the IP address that we have configured in the router. Show running config to look at the configuration on the router. And then let's do a ping test in the router. Let's do a ping to 192.168.1.10. Great. 1.20. Amazing. Now we can send a ping with more extension per se. So if you just type ping and enter, then you just do IP. The IP address is 192.168.1.20. The count will be 100. The datagram it will be 100. Let's say the time 2 seconds. Enter, enter. There you go. Now every 2 seconds we're covering 100 by 100, and it will send a ping. It will probably take some time to complete. But what happened now? If the ping doesn't end, and let's just do one more time so I can show you how can we end it. Let's do a ping. Let's do 192.168. It's actually IP. 192.168.1.10. Let's do 10,000. It's actually 10,000, yes, by 10,000. So I can show you something. 2 seconds. And there you go. Now we want to end it because it's just running and it will take a lot of time. So we do Control Z. Control Z. Control Z. It will probably work, but for some reason it's not working. Let me see. Control X. No, it's not working for some reason. I'm wondering if there is another way to finish it. I'm just going to do some research to see how can we end an indefinite pin, because it's just not ending. It's just taking forever. So let me just do some research and I'll go back to you. Mm. Okay, Ctrl Shift 6. Okay. Okay, so I was asking our friend GTP chat, and basically is escape or Ctrl Shift 6. So let's go to packet tracer. Let's do escape. It doesn't really work. Ctrl Shift 6. Ctrl Shift 6 is the correct one. In order to end this infinite ping connectivity test, we have to do Ctrl Shift 6. Sometimes when we get stuck in the command line interface, we don't know how to get out of these kind of errors or problems. We do a Ctrl Shift 6 and it will break the command. That's what it does. It will break the specific command. Okay, let's continue with the validation commands. We have pretty much sent ping from the PCs to the router or from the router to the PCs. Do you guys think we're missing something? What are we missing? We are missing the switch. So let's do a show MAC address table. And look at those MAC addresses and interfaces. Then do a show interface status. We have most of the interfaces. Most of them are not connected. There's just a few. Access port, which are connected, fuzzy 01 and 2. What else? What are we missing? This one, fuzzy 024 is also connected for the uplink to the router. Show running in the switch. Show running config is the other one that we were missing. Probably we went over it before, but I just want to make sure we validated all the possible commands for troubleshooting purposes. Look at the encryption there with the hatch. When you configure the service part with encryptions, you guys remember that when we did that part? This is encryption that we get. The access ports for the PCs and the access port to provide access between the switch and the router, connectivity between switch and router. So I think we're pretty much done. I'm just going to double check in the PDF document to see if we are not missing something. We were able to go over the modes of the OSI navigation. We were able to configure basic configuration as password, interfaces, host names, send a pin between the routers and the PCs through the switch, and validate and confirm some troubleshooting commands. So we're pretty much done. We're pretty much done. Great. So I will see you at the top of success, boys and girls. It's been a pleasure working with you today. I want to congratulate you because you are doing an amazing job. You are taking care and going along with me and typing the commands is that will make you an expert in networking. So thank you very much for your time, your effort, and I will see you in the next class. Goodbye.